Welcome to Go Play Esports Podcast with Christopher Turner, Go Play founder and CEO, esports coach at the Southern University Lab, and gamer. Discussions on the emergence of esports at the K-12, collegiate, and professional level. Let's go! Let's go play.
Hi, this is your host, Christopher Turner. We're running a little behind schedule today, but it's okay. The show is going to go on. I want to introduce my guest for today. He's the Executive Director for Varsity Esports Foundation, a nonprofit that strives to increase literacy around esports, positive impact, healthy lifestyles, mental health, community, STEM, and digital citizenship. My guest has been around nonprofits, traditional sports industries for about 20 years now. YMCA, the NCAA, the NAIA, and the Chamber of Commerce. 3 years ago, he dove deep into esports industry and partnered with esports organizations to create a foundation. He now works to educate businesses, organizations, and schools about being proactive around the foundation's initiatives. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome Bubba from Varsity Esports. Welcome to the show, Bubba.
Hello. How are you, sir?
I'm good, man. I know I did the brief introduction. Can you tell the listening audience a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, well, I am a gamer, and I'm a nerd, and I'm an athlete, and I'm a father, and I'm a husband, and I just love hanging out and supporting mission and nonprofit work and fundraising and helping kids and just being out on streaming world and Twitch or being up on stage at church. I just enjoy being active and wild and fun.
That's cool, man. So tell us, like, how did you get in gaming? Like, what's your first memories of starting out being a gamer?
Well, first memories was when my dad worked at Radio Shack as a kid. When I was a kid growing up, I mean, Radio Shacks aren't really around anymore. But my dad worked. My dad worked. He's a manager at a couple of different stores I was growing up. So I can remember building Tandy and IBM computers and driving remote control cars all around the store, doing inventory and learning, how to do inventory with little micro, resistors and computer parts when you actually had to build computers, from little pieces in these big drawers and stuff. And just, that was my first start really playing things like Atari and playing next door with my best friend, playing PlayStation. Well, I guess it wasn't PlayStation then. We were still playing Nintendo and blowing in the cartridge to get the thing to work. When you got to blow in it, and then you got to get it right on the little lip, and then press it down right as you go over the edge just to get it in right. That's there you go. That's real gaming, in my opinion. I mean,
it's real gaming with the dizzy head from blowing the game.
Yeah, I remember having to use alcohol one time or two, because just think about throwing cartridges around and how kids over the years throwing CDs around and get them scratched up. I mean, it's all the same. But man, it was a great experience. Yeah. Those are my pastimes for sure.
So what consoles did you favor? Are you a PC guy now, or are you still console based? Or both?
Man, I'm a PC gamer, but I have been playing Warzone on PlayStation probably too much. But it's because the cross communication is real iffy from PC to PlayStation. A lot of my friends play PlayStation or Xbox, and right now. But I mean, if we're talking about in the past, I was a Sega Genesis guy for a long time, and then I was I'm never going to PlayStation like all my friends. Oh, this is so lame. Don't get these CDs and whatever. Sega is it was like Ford or Chevy. I was like, I'm a Chevy man. I'm a Sega Genesis guy. And then I caved, obviously, with PlayStation 2, and kept. Now I'm very PlayStation. Even though I played too much Halo in college with my roommates, playing Halo with Xbox. So that's always a wish to play again on Xbox. Is just some more Halo.
So tell us, man. You mentioned college. What I know you were in traditional sports, and if you can talk about that a little bit, and then let's talk about the bridge between like sports, traditional sports, and the love for gaming, and how that came about for you to meet in the middle.
Yeah, for my love of traditional sports, it is there because of esports as well. I've really just spent the last 3 or 4 years being a translator of traditional sports to esports, and I mean the ability to play high school sports, football, soccer, swimming, play in high school, then go to college and play soccer at the competitive collegiate level and play rugby. I really enjoyed that experience, and all through that time, I was actually working as a sports director for YMCAs, kind of in the Midwest and the South, while I was in college, and it was fun because my love of sports is not so much like knowing every World Series winner or Super Bowl winner. My love of sports is the connection and the cooperation and the coaching, and just like helping students for sure, especially that middle school age. I love working with that nobody likes to work with, because that's where middle schoolers are a fun group to work with when they're adapting and learning who they are going to become someday. But that love of just helping kids understand how to be coachable. And I mean, you get this. I mean, you work with students, like helping kids be coachable instead of like, well, this coach doesn't get me. So many students over my years, either coaching soccer, or coaching basketball or football, in recreation or high school level. It was, I'm not playing for this coach because he makes us run, or he didn't start me. I was like, you are running your chances for the destination, right? It's the sports are the ticket, not the destination. And I mean, the destination is what you can get after you learn from coaches and learn from adult leaders and learn from your peers. And so it was always sad to hear like students just like, I'm not playing anymore for whatever it may be. But the traditional sports side for me is really a part of my life. Like I said, I know Patrick Mahomes. He is here in Kansas City, and I watched the Chiefs. But I know a few players, but I'm not a numbers guy or whatever. I enjoy watching sports, talking about sports, but really, as an event planner for many years in running large, 5,000 person tournaments with flag football for 4th and 5th graders or whatever, like those experiences on just creating community and intimacy in an event where you just feel connected, like those things are important to me. And luckily I don't have to work 80 hours a week, running tournaments all the time. Now I can go around and talk to people about digital citizenship and esports and how beneficial it is, and really just be a translator from esports. Because a lot of times I got to use like analogies of, hey, here's what esports is. Imagine a baseball field, and the field is the game, the actual game. The rules are the umpire. The press box is like Twitch, broadcasting it. So you got to spend a lot of time translating, and really anything we do in esports, it feels like.
Yeah, it's crazy that you say that, because I tell people all the time, when we first launched our program at the school I teach at, I wasn't aware how many millennials are, our generation that don't know what esports is. They familiarize with gaming, but they don't understand that the base of everything, and esports is just a branch, and I think it's a hard translation for them to actually get it. So, you mentioned, using baseball. What other tactics do you use? Because I find that I have to educate before I'm able to build relationships and go further.
Well, it's actually really fun to have conversations with teachers and sponsors and coaches all across the country, and explaining what esports is, especially especially we spend a lot of time when I present to big districts to their IT directors or admin or whoever, and I always have this slide, and I say, I'm going to go over this slide about the benefits and the stigmas of esports and gaming. And the fun part in that translation is meeting them on their level, just like we're meeting all these kids where they are. We're meeting instructors and educators where they are, in the sense of, hey, think about a track and field team. Think about a wrestling team. Now imagine a track and field team. There are 20, 30 players on the team, and there's a bunch of different events. Okay, and then you have 4 players are in the relay, the 400-meter relay, and they all are part of this, making this event happen. Completing the event and working together and practicing on speed drills, whatever they need to compete at events or championships or tournaments or meets. And now I want you to think about wrestling. I want to think about wrestling, an individual sport, but it's a team thing. So everybody's in a team. Then the wrestlers, they got to meet weight, they got to exercise, they got to eat healthy, they've got to stretch, then they've got to do a ton of practice one-on-one, and then coach has got to come in and he's got to teach some new moves. Okay, now think about track and field and think about wrestling. Now think about track and field as something like Overwatch. So there's 6 players on an Overwatch team. Well, they all have a purpose. Like in track and field, the 4th guy, he's the what is he, the anchor? So like the anchor, he's the one that's like the speed. He's got to make, get everything done. The first guy may be different, or the girl. They may have all different purposes on how they're playing that in that meet. So just think about Overwatch. You got tanks and DPS and healers. It's all different, but they're all working together. Then you look at wrestlers, one-on-one. If we look at other games, any shooting games or Rocket League and a 3v3 or individual games out there like Smash Brothers or something, and you've got this individual stuff, but maybe there's still a team involved at your local high school or your middle school or your college, where everybody's trying to get points for the team or whatnot. So it's that traditional sports translation is huge because educators get it because traditional sports has been around. And I definitely think there's a lot to say when it comes to literacy on esports, especially for our society, realizing the benefits and understanding the stigmas and what we do as a society to perpetuate things for the positive and the negative.
So, man, you touched on some points, and I think I'm going to steal those analysis from you, man, so I can talk to the public.
Good. Please.
So like, at what point did you start thinking about like starting Varsity Esports while you were working at the Y, or was it like a fast track thing? Explain that breakdown to us as far as timeline and thought process.
Sure. I've been in the nonprofit world for 20 years, and
right.
I think when I first met Mason from High School Esports League here in Kansas City, he's the founder, a co-founder of the High School Esports League, and when I met him, we got to talking. It was interesting that when I was working for the Chamber of Commerce here in Kansas City in a suburb called Olathe, on the Kansas side, the idea of really what I was doing was trying to bring in events for the town to kind of bring tourists in, because we were supported by the hotel tax. The sports commission and the chamber were supported by hotel tax. So if you stayed at a hotel, then you were providing tax dollars as a visitor to help offset the cost and help offset the cost of local taxpayers, as well as bring in funding for us at the chamber, the sports commission, to market the city again to bring in more visitors, right? So that's the circle of that. And obviously it's struggling right now with COVID-19, but with tourism. But the idea of bringing in events, so we'd work with USA Football, and I work with USA Rugby and volleyball and all these big events, and we're just, hey, come use our facilities at the school district or at the college and play your baseball tournament and stay at our hotels, eat in our restaurants, buy gas. Okay, now I'm a gamer. I